Hi, my name is Robert Weissert. I am your student, your child's Math 3 teacher, either honors or standard. Welcome to my room, my virtual room, this spare bedroom in my house. So I'm going to be brief. I'm going to talk about just who I am real quick, talk about what we do in the class, some curriculum overviews of sorts, talk about what kind of work, how much you're going to be expected to do. Um, when you can reach me, how you can get in contact with me, how to make sure that your child is engaged in the class and get everything they can from this. I know this is challenging times, so we're doing the best we can here. So let's start by sharing with you some of my content information. And rather than me recreate the wheel, I have a Google site that you can get from the CMS website. So if we open that up here, well, you'll see that I have an email address, robert.weissert@cms.k12.nc.us. Feel free to email me. You can also reach me by phone. This is a Google Voice number. You can text and call, but if you're going to call, make sure you text first to let me know who you are and who you're calling for. And let's talk about my schedule. So you might be in my first or second period class. First period is Math 3, second period is Honors Math 3. The courses, they look similar on Canvas. They're set up very similar. Honors has a little bit more work and the tests are a little bit more challenging. So I can talk about those differences too when we get later on into the curriculum. If you need extra available time, you are welcome to have your student, the best way that students can reach out to me is through texting. That way I can help them individually, or they can sign up for Remind. I do class announcements on Remind. So if they're in my first period Math 3 class, if they get the Remind app, they can put in the code Math3W1. If they're in my second period Honors Math 3 class, they can put in the code Math3W2, and that'll get them to get my announcements. I try to do a lot of communication through to students directly that way, but some people choose to text, and that's fine. So let's talk about what the course is going to look like. This is just this stuff doesn't change. This is all my contact information and talking about grading policies. The grading policy is pretty much such that your grades are going to be 70% formal and 30% informal. The formal grades are going to be the unit tests that they take in Math 3. And those are typically administered on SchoolNet, although there are some retakes that are on Canvas. And students do have the option to retake those. Those tests are made by the district, so retakes I have to create, so sometimes that takes a little bit of time to make, but I will have a retake for almost every major unit test. The grades on the test are typically not easy to review, so if students are having issues looking at their tests and seeing what they missed, I'm not able to unlock those physically on SchoolNet. So I can look individually and talk about that with students, but I'm having a difficult time right now trying to figure out how to relay that as a broader message to students. So bear with me as we get that figured out. As far as your other work, your informal grades, that's just going to be, for remote learning, I don't give a lot of pop quizzes or anything like that. Everything's going to be right out there. You're going to have videos, you're going to have Canvas quizzes, you're going to have sometimes warm-ups and things that are on Google Docs and slides. I try to be very precise and get you amount of work that's enough for the class, but sometimes it ends up being too much. So not everything can be done in class, but let me guide you through what the students see when they go through. So this is the Math 3 course. At the bottom of the page here, they can click on, they click on the live lessons to go to my Zoom meetings. So you'll see those on there, and it has a Zoom block, and they can also go to office hours after school. Haven't had many people take advantage of that, but it is available. And of course, they can send me a message on Remind if they have any questions about getting extra help. Now, when they go into the course, they're going to see a whole bunch of units. Currently, we're on Unit 3, so if they click on that, they'll see all the lessons we've done. They can click on, for instance, Lesson 2, And on lesson 2, it'll give you just kind of a guideline through what we are to do today. The most important thing they'll do every day is going to be the video lessons and practice. So a lot of times when they click on a video, they will have, or they click on a practice, it'll typically be a Canvas quiz. I try to sync those right up to PowerSchool so they can get the grade into PowerSchool the next day if they submit it. They usually get synced overnight. And most of the quizzes will add up to 100, so that way they can see their grade out of 100. So it's pretty clear. Let me go ahead and kind of model this one for you so you can see what it looks like on their end. So you can see a graphing calculator built in. That's Desmos, and we use that almost every day. Sometimes there'll be notes embedded into the questions. And here's a question here based off of a warm-up they did. And they go on to the next question. So they click the question. This question is a new topic that's talking about x-intercepts and y-intercepts. So I usually go over a couple questions from their assignment right during the live portion of class, but there's sometimes a video embedded into those questions. So they can play that if they miss my instruction or they just need to kind of reinforce that. They can go back and play. And I don't know if you can hear my sound or not, but they'll hear it and they'll see a video of usually another teacher, because these videos are typically made by other people in the district. Once in a while, I'll not be a huge fan of the videos and make my own, but it is quite a time-consuming adventure. So I don't typically do that if there are ones that are available that are already there and that I like. So anyway, as they're taking the quiz, some of them are numeric entry. Some of them are going to be, and I'm just guessing answers here so you can see what's going to happen. It gives you a check, so they did it. No, they did it. There's some more numeric answers, and here's some drop downs. Of course, they won't be guessing. They'll be looking at the videos and trying to get some information on how to answer those questions. And of course, couple that with my live instruction, and they should have all the tools they need to solve these problems. Some of them are going to require paper and pencil work. So if I collect work, I'm going to be very explicit about it from the beginning and say get some paper and pencil. You'll be submitting your work to turn in later. And that's just so that they can get credit for writing things down, okay? So let's say I've completed this quiz and I've answered all the questions. I submit it. This is not going to be a good score because I only answered a couple questions and I answered them by guessing. So I'm lucky I even got 4 out of the 100 points. But in this case here, notice that it will say correct answers are hidden. It tells you what questions I didn't answer, and it tells you the questions I did answer. And of course, as a student, I would not want to accept that score. So I open up my quizzes to be taken multiple times. So students have the opportunity to take the quiz till they get 100. And if for some reason they're just not getting some of the problems, then they can always message me and I can try to help them with it. My goal is to make sure they understand everything they're doing in class. Even if they can't, I'll get it done in class. So what that does is, let's say I redo it and I get a 90%. I'm like, I can handle a 90. So the highest quiz grade is what's going to get put into PowerSchool so that they can see that the next day. So if I submit that now, right now it's 334, then in PowerSchool the next day it should see that 90 if I got a 90 on it. So those are the majority of their informal work. Warm-ups and exit tickets, once in a while I have those on there, but a lot of times they're more participation. They're not typically graded as a quiz grade or harshly. So it's more, did you do it or not? You get credit for being here type of thing. But these are graded, so they want to make sure that they can get the highest grade possible when they submit them. Now let me take you through an example of an assignment that might be considered where they'd have to write their work down. So I can tell you lesson 6, for example, the one we just did earlier, had 2 components to that work, okay? So there's a video lessons and practice. So the video lessons, again, will have the questions from, hold on, let me go back here for a minute. So at the bottom of the topic page, if they click next, you can get this warning here. Read carefully. You're required to submit a picture of your work, with this assignment. I did not make that grammatical error. You need paper and pencil. So it'll tell them clearly that they need to get something to write with and do their work. Now, I often share my screen, share my writing with them. In fact, I can write right on here. So that way they can see me actually do writing work. So, you know, I can do 1 + 2 = 3. You know, obviously our math is more involved than that, but they can see me right on here using this little tablet. And I also will use occasionally a document camera that sees me writing on here, and you can still see my face and see me writing, and you know, I might say this is number 5, y'all write this down and we'll do our work. So I have different ways that I can represent problems. A lot of times I'll use a graphing calculator, and they're going to want to get comfortable using a graphing calculator. One of the things that you want your child to know very well is the use of Desmos, desmos.com. And a lot of times that's embedded right into the lesson. But when they see a graphing calculator that's embedded, it is going to be desmos.com. And we do so much on here. They have to know how to use this. And that's in lieu of having to buy a $150 possibly graphing calculator from an office store that is not a very good return on investment, because you might use it for a couple classes, then it might just sit there for years not being used. Desmos will be available. If they take like a calculus or AP stats class, I would advise them to get a handheld graphic calculator, because the AP tests are going to require those. But as far as the regular classes, we can get away with doing the online calculator for the most part for our work. So yeah, so talking about going through the coursework, you see I got a million tabs open, but it's going to say turn in your practice directions. So it's going to have the quiz. All right, that quiz, you say resume quiz, you submit it, and notice that that's going to be 50 points, okay, right there. And that's going to be automatically graded. So when they submit that, let's say, hey, I got them all right, I got 50 points. Then the next step on Canvas is to submit the work, okay? And so this is where they can take a picture of their work. They can do it through their Chromebook camera. They can take a picture from their phone, upload it through Google Drive. There's different ways to do it. I can troubleshoot with them how to do it individually. Right now, there's I don't have a Chromebook in front of me, so I can't show you specifically how they would do it, but you can see you can choose it as a file, if it's a picture, media, if you do a quick video of it, if you have it in your Google Drive, different ways to submit it. But anyway, that's just completion. So if they have work done, I can give them the other 50 points. Now, not all assignments will have that. Once in a while, the quiz will be the full 100 points. That's the majority of their work. So when they get finished with the unit, every unit has an assessment. It's kind of a major unit test. That's their formal grade. And as you can see, we're in this unit now, so that assessment hasn't been linked. But once it gets linked, then I'll be able to walk them through, give them a passcode, and they can take it. Let me repeat this for everyone that's still listening. Every assessment has the opportunity to have a retake. Retakes are not always going to be available because they take a while to make, but they will be available. Every Canvas assignment can be redone multiple times. So if a student's not happy with their grade, they can always redo things. And of course, during the lesson, I will have ask a lot of questions. What can you do as a parent to make sure that your students are engaged in class. Make sure they're on time. Make sure they're fed. They're nurtured to the best you can, so that they're in a spot where they can be in the class and attend and be attentive and answer questions. They want to make sure that they're engaged. They're asking questions. I utilize the chat feature in Zoom a lot to ask questions, because not a lot of students want to turn their mics on. It would be nice to see them, to have their video and hear them and turn their mics on, but the least they can do is interact through the chat message in Zoom. So I guess that's all I have. If you have any questions, again, reach out to me. You can give me an email, robert.weissert@cms.k12.nc.us. You can reach me at 704-912-1464, or you can go right to Remind if you want to sign up through your child's class and just get announcements that way too. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for watching.